And thank you for joining us for our final segment that they say save the best for last. We're going to have a very interesting conversation this morning with Dr. Dionne Chamberlain, who's the managing director of Chamberlain Consultant Limited. You know her from all the work that she's been doing in Belize over the past few years. And we also have the chief coordinating consultant over there at Chamberlain Consulting Limited as well. We have Trudy Joseph. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us.
It is absolutely refreshing to see you guys.
Thank you.
This morning, because leadership is probably the biggest issue in anything that you do. And I always tell people for our Belize, we need quality leadership, but not just leadership from the people who have positions. Leadership is something that permeates everything we do.
Definitely, definitely.
We're having a huge workshop. Last year was a banger, and this year I've looked at the outline, and this year seems to going to one up that. Definitely. What is happening this year, Dionne?
Well, we're really excited because, first of all, we really listened to the attendees and they've asked us to cut down the amount of people in the room. So honestly, that's what we're doing this year because they want space to move, to interact, to network. and so people may say, oh my God, that's terrible. But the reality is that we listen to our people when they're coming. And what we're really excited about this year is over the past 4 years, we slowly ramped up over different levels of sessions. This year is about leading healthy teams. And health of your team is their physical health, their emotional health, their financial health, their family health, their work health, their environment that they're existing within. Because if you have a healthy team, you will have a healthy, vibrant company that is doing well. And one of the important things that I want people to understand is that leadership is sometimes a tough role. It's not about singing kumbaya, holding hands, and because leadership requires accountability. It requires ownership. It requires integrity. It requires purpose. And so leadership, a lot of people say that they want to be a leader, but leadership requires that you have certain behaviors based on the values that you have. So what we find interesting about Leadercast really is the fact that we all strive to be leaders in our everyday life, in our homes, because you're running a home, you're running your family, you're in church, wherever it is where you're volunteering. However, this is where you re-energize, revitalize yourself. So these sessions are not only for people who are exploring leadership, they're for people who, in their leadership, they get tired. Because leadership is a thankless role, be honest. There's no gratitude. You know, people, the greatest leaders in the world aren't getting accolades out there, you know? I mean, when was the last time we told our parents, who are the great leaders in our lives, how amazing and how wonderful in terms of creating us and driving us to where we are? So the reality is that this is really a time to examine your leadership if you don't feel that you're quite there. If you're on the way, to help guide you upon that road by listening to other people's experiences and how they've done it. And then at the same time, it's time to, if you've been putting out your every single fiber, to revitalize you, because inside all of us has a positive and a negative side. And if the negative side is fed more than the positive side, it will take over. So we really need to be revitalized. So we're inviting you to be our guest, to come and be revitalized. Sure. And don't tell me that you don't have time, because if you don't have time for yourself, then you do not have time for anybody else, right?
Dionne, I have the benefit of doing something that a lot of the public has not seen. I've seen that lineup. Okay. And if you are not there, as my friend Terry Gordon would say, you're nowhere.
Oh, thank you.
So talk to us a bit about, because I'm dead serious, the lineup is power packed. This is not a backyard sort of thing. This is international, high quality. Who is going to be there?
I want Trudy to tell you who's exciting her, because she has her favorites and I have my favorites. So let her tell you who her favorites are.
Well, definitely Gail King. Gail King is actually, she has worked with O Magazine, which is the Oprah Winfrey magazine. And she has been on talk shows for so many years. What I love about her is because even though it is that we're talking about United States as an example, if it is that you're not engaging worldwide, you know, people here in Belize wouldn't even know much about her. But why I love her is because when you come home and you're talking about how do we keep ourselves engage? How do we let people want to watch us when it is that we are on the TV? How do you, as a TV personality, come off and say, what have I done last year different than what it is that I really want to do this year? So she has been doing it for over 25 years. And so I'm very intrigued to hear from her. What is it that has allowed for her to keep fresh, knowing the current situations that are occurring, but what is it that you really do talk about? Because you will have information overload. So I'm very, very interested, to hear from her. And also because she has worked with Oprah Winfrey, and as a dynamic woman, to find out what it is like working along with her and keeping the magazine going. So she's one of the persons that very looking forward to.
She's one that did the Arcade interview? She's the same one?
Yes.
So it's a very strong woman.
Yes.
And that's the thing with leadership, who you lead might change, but the formula for leadership, somebody has already done it, and there are lessons that you can learn from them. Yeah. And that's why who is coming and who is going to be a part of this leadership cast is very important. That was her favorite.
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear.
I also did want to mention about Ginger Hardage, and Ginger Hardage actually has had work because she's no longer with Southwest, but she was with Southwest for 25 years. And
Southwest Airlines.
Yes, Southwest Airlines. And for 23 out of those 25 years, they were the top airline as it came to service. And that is something that we want to do. We want to provide awesome service. So listening to Ginger Hardage, I would like to find out from her, how is it that she was then able to ensure that sometimes we say we are here to serve, but we don't understand. You're not going to give away the entire plate, right? Or the kitchen. And so you need to know what type of service it is that you can offer that can keep people coming back. But not only that, be recognized for what it is that you're doing, and letting people not feel like I'm just here putting off a show and it's not coming from the heart. So I'm sure that she will talk a little bit more about that, making it seem as natural as possible. And that has to do with your personal beliefs and values likewise, because how can you give what you don't have,
Yeah.
But again, remember, the leader creates the culture of the environment that everyone will exist within. So if your employees do not feel cared for, then they will not care for your customers. Yeah. So at the very end of the day, the leader has to set the tone for the culture that he or she wants to create and ensure that it's done with consequences, with standards, with sanctions, with rewards. Because realistically, leadership, the issues that we have with leadership is because we lead with a purpose which is not of integrity. We lead for different personal reasons, but at the end of the day, if we are leading because we want the success of others, a true leader does not care about his or her success. A leader cares about what other people are gaining and how your growth looks and how impressive, because you will sit back and look at, and that is why some of our parents, they look at us and we are an echo of them, of their leadership. So yes, they may not have done what we may say be anything great in their lifetime, but you, for instance, you are the echo of your parents. And so you echo their leadership, and without what they did for you, would you be you?
No.
Would you be the amazing person who gives back to society, delivers, at the level that you do, work so hard in school when you were going in school? So leadership doesn't take the front end. It's not the person in the face. The leader is always the person in the back, getting everybody else to be amazing.
I know Sylvia is out there blushing, but let's go back to this lineup because.
My favorite again?
Yes, because I'm interested to see how you guys dissected. Because I looked through the list and I could not choose who over who I would love to hear more.
Well, Andy Stanley has been one of the lineups for the past 4 years, and for the right reason. What I love about Andy Stanley is that he gets down very deep into how to grow and develop your people. And sometimes when he sends out something that he believes is poor leadership, it stings me because I realize, oh my God, that's me he's talking about there. So what he does is he reminds me of where I've gone wrong and puts me back on track. And that's another thing that a leader does. He guides you. And so I love the fact that he will point out these areas where you've faltered and where you've not been such a great leader, but he creates a roadmap, and the way he presents, you will love him. He's very articulate. He presents, his PowerPoints are clear, and you can actually see it, and you can see visually, and he can show you how to arrive. I'm one of those very visual people, everybody learns differently. Some of us are oral, kinesthetic, whatever, but I'm visual. I need to see what it is that you're talking, and he captivates me. And it's interesting because he's very soft-spoken, very quiet, but he's a powerhouse, and I love that. My other one that I'm in love with is Marcus Samuelson, chef.
Yes.
And I've been watching him for years and years, and I'm impressed that he came out of Africa and has come to this level within, and that he is he's a top chef in his environment. He has restaurants across the world. He's absolutely impressive, and I see him as a mentor because I see the way that he takes on other young people who want to learn his trade and his craft, and he doesn't scream at them and make them feel insecure. He gives them love. And the type of leadership that we like and we talk about often at the company is Ubuntu leadership, which is an African style that we practice at the organization, which is using your head, because I need to teach you the theory and the knowledge, yes, but I need to use my heart. I need to show you that I love, I care. Because if I show you I love and I care, then you will not ever want to disappoint me. Mrs. Bernice York was my Ubuntu leader. And up until today's date, she's passed many years ago, but I still follow things that and whenever I want to please myself, I give myself one of those gifts that she used to give to me. And one of the gifts was inviting me to her house and feeding me sardines with Creole bread and Milo. And so whenever I feel broken, I go back to Bernice York and I say, let me mix this up and eat this, because this takes me back to that place. And so I love Marcus because he's a mentor, and I believe strongly in mentorship. In fact, I have 3 of them. And it's exciting that my mentor is who guided and drove me to become a part of Leadercast. His name is Ian Blanchard, out of Barbados. And he was the one who said, Dionne, I'm doing Leadercast in Grenada, I'm doing Leadercast in Barbados, and I'm going to be expanding it out to St. Lucia, and I want it to be in Belize. Would you take it over? And I'm like, Ian, I can't do that. It's only me. I can't handle that. And he's like, you can. And interestingly enough, we're the biggest Leadercast in the Caribbean.
Wow.
Yeah.
Belize.
And that was from, yes. And one of the things I want to mention that I know that you haven't asked about is our great lineup of sponsors, because without sponsors, it wouldn't be possible. Every attendee, we have to pay Leadercast franchise fees,
yes,
and all of that. And so it's because of sponsors that we get to invite someone like yourself to be a part of it. Other people are able to write in for scholarships, by the way. So if you want to come out there, Belize, and you want to be here, write in a letter, and the committee will review it, and we will identify if you are coming for the right reason. Another thing is that every year we have a leader worth following. I don't know if you know that, but Dara Robinson was leader worth following for the very first year.
That's a good one. And he goes every year.
Yes, and he'll be there again. Second year, we had Pedro Perez. And at the event where Pedro Perez was, the people in the audience, just to tell you how powerful Belizean people are, they rose over $4,000 for Dara at that session and handed over to him at the session where he wasn't even leader worth following.
Wow.
They just took out a hat and passed it around the room, and that filled up to give back to Dara. And of course, everybody who comes to the event, by the way, bring your canned good or your meal, because we give Dara a box of whatever it is every year. Last year, we chose Michelle Rodon. Michelle has done quite a bit of work with children with cancer, and we really believe that she's another leader that goes unnoticed. I don't know if you realize it, but in Belize, a lot of times, the people are doing amazing work in the scene behind. And this year, we're even more excited. Again, it's a secret until that day. But this year, and all three of the previous leaders we're following will be there to watch it occur. And by the way, it's a full surprise for them. They know nothing. Only their family conspires with us. Gives us all the data, and so it is a very tear-jerking and event, because all of them who have ever won before have said they have never been given an award for doing what they do. They just do it because they love people. I mean, Dara sacrifices and all of that. You know, his wife, I mean, she was there to see him receive his award. I mean, that's another thing that made him so happy, because, you know, he says that sometimes he takes bread out of her mouth to give to kids, you know, and so for him it was a thank you that his partner is giving up as well, and nobody ever thanks her. It's his name that gets out there, you know. Yeah. So people don't know that our wives or husbands or boyfriends or lovers or children are the ones who support us in doing the things that we do. Yeah. All the time you take away from your family, absolutely, they're giving up their parent, you know. So there's a lot of unsung heroes, if you want to call it, in this country, and we tend to pay a lot of attention to the people who are in the light and not to the people who are quietly in their own little ways. And that is what leader word following does.
You know, I wanted you to continue to go through the list of speakers.
Okay, wonderful.
Because it's a very diverse group.
Very.
You were talking about chefs, you're talking about television personalities, you're talking about, the one that caught my eye was actually Craig Springer.
Okay.
White space.
Yeah, you know, it's just the diversity. So maybe you could outline some of the other speakers that are going to be there too.
Yeah.
Because I think there's somebody to speak to whatever kind, quality,
Definitely.
or stance of leadership that you have.
And by the way, we're excited.
challenges.
We're excited that Craig will be there as well, because every year the prison sends a group of their people to attend.
Nice.
And I believe that because of Craig's involvement in the churches and in the prisons, and because everybody deserves a chance. Every single person deserves an opportunity. And so we believe that by having somebody who can connect with you, then you can engage everyone in the room. So everybody will have their personal favorite, you know?
And I love that you said that, because the thing is, some persons we see get excited when a speaker comes on, like over the years, and then other persons are like, you know, that's not necessarily the best person that I wanted, but they have takeaways, but that's not my best speaker. And so the lineup is such that you will have something that you will be able to take away, and it's something that you can implement immediately. For me, I am so happy that actually I started out as one of the persons that Miss Dionne had invited as one of her scholarship recipient, and she's my mentor actually. And so and so I started out as a scholarship recipient, so I was in the audience, and then I became a volunteer. And after being a volunteer for 2 years, now I am helping to work along with Miss Dionne for me to be able to actually bring everything to life. And over the 4 years, I'm learning so much, because no year is the same. It is all about making it different. It's all about taking it to the next level. And so even as a person, you will be able to grow. You see yourself grow. We have had persons, I know of people that might not have a job at the time that Leadercast comes around, and they actually invest in themselves. A person from last year got a job right at Leadercast because networking is available. And so it's not just about, all the persons that will be there that aren't here in the country of Belize because it is streamed live. It is knowing that you are here with the persons here in the country that can help you to be able to grow. Because we do have conversations in between after the speakers have spoke. What is it that you learn? What highlight do you want to share with the rest of the group? Do you have any questions? And so we talk about our companies here in Belize. We talk about how is it that it can work well for us. So also want to mention that along with Trip Cosby, who is going to be streaming as the host, and he's a comedian, and he teaches you through comedy, and some people love laughter. And so here in Belize, we have, of course, Dr. Chamberlain, who is our host here, and so she engages the crowd here. And we want to thank Father Matt last year. He was so amazing. It was like really great. And so this year we have Dr. Kent Wessinger that will also be co-hosting with Miss Dionne on that day.
And just to let anybody who's interested in HR as well, the following day, Kent Wessinger will be having a session in helping HR professionals to work better with millennials.
Wow.
Because that's a huge issue that many of the companies are having in Belize, and we always make sure that we are also retooled, because I'm not trained in that, so he's coming in to not only train me, because again, our training is not only for Chamberlain Consulting. If all of Belize is at the same level, can you imagine how amazing it would be?
And you know, as you said, unfortunately there's a sort of undercurrent philosophy in Belize or belief in Belize that leadership is kind of accidental. You know, you wake up one morning and you know you are it.
Yeah.
But the work that goes behind it, and investing, as you were saying, in initiatives like this to self-improve, it's not just about going and getting a degree.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to talk a little about who you would want to be a part of this. Who do you think is the perfect person for that Leadercast would speak to?
Yeah. I like Trudy mentioned earlier, I don't know if there's an exact person that it should speak to, but I do believe that educators, our teachers, should be a part of it, because one of the things that we have found out in many of the organizations that we've been working in for private consultancy is that although we talk about bullying in schools, the highest level of bullying happens within the workplace, where we walk in and we call each other names, we hurt each other's feelings, we don't say hello, we disregard each other. The reality is that when I walk into any workplace, I don't know what anybody is going through. And sometimes the person with the smile is the person with the most pain. Yeah. And we really need somebody to guide us and take us to the next level. I see staff apply for a job, for instance. You don't get it, but nobody stops to tell you why you didn't and how you could improve so you could get it the next time around. We all need guidance. We all need mentorship. And the type of leadership that you mentioned before that's accidental is position. It's not leadership. Leadership doesn't depend on what your position is. A leader can be anyone. Look at Dara. He's an amazing leader. Out of nothing, he creates that food program for children, and now he's been able to create critical mass and get people to help him. There are so many leaders out there, and a lot of people seem to think that leadership has to have a name tag onto it, or a title, or some wealth, or some status, or something like that. But there are leaders amongst us every day. I see some women who are making sandwiches on the side of the street, handing it out to, but that's leadership. You know, there are so many people who give every single day of your life. Even people who don't give to external, the ones who take care of their children and guide their children to becoming better citizens of Belize and of the world, that's leadership. Leadership doesn't mean you get out there, because honestly, you have to take care of home first. I was guilty of that once. My children, I used to bring in a motivational speaker that we used to go across the country and do different sessions. And it used to tear me away from the family a lot. And one day, my children told me that I was the worst mother ever.
Wow.
And they said, you do everything for everybody out there. You answer every call that everybody out there wants, but you don't answer us. When was the last time you made a meal? When was the last time you checked in school and see how our grades are and what we're doing? And that was my most painful moment, because I thought I was a leader. I was the proverbial, everybody thought I was amazing. But in my home, I wasn't seen that way. And I changed that immediately. However, you have to be willing to see the need for change, because it all begins with you. Leadership begins with you. Yes. Who do you want to lead? But you can't lead anybody if you can't lead yourself first. And obviously, I was not leading me well. I was not leading my family well. And so it is a painful position to be in when you find out you're not a great leader. And that is what sometimes within these sessions, like Andy Stanley points that out. I believe the same thing will be coming from Patrick Lencioni. He speaks about teamwork, clarity, employee engagement. Because I often ask people in my sessions, I say, I notice you're married, so why did you decide that you were going to marry that person? And I said, because I love them, because I would do anything for them, because I would sacrifice for them. That's what employees who are engaged do, you know. Yeah. They sacrifice for you. They work till late at night and they don't care. And they will sweat for you and they will do for you. And they won't tell you about 5 o'clock and it's Saturday and it's Sunday and it's this and it's that and my time and you know. They see the value in what you're doing and they want to do it for you. But if your employees aren't engaged, then they're disengaged. And when they are disengaged, they're 9-to-5ers. They don't want to look at you on weekends. They don't answer your phone calls. They don't answer your customers. They don't deliver their work. And then who suffers at the end of the day? The customer, your company, your reputation, your business, and their reputation as well. It all comes back to you. Because every time I don't do good work, then my client doesn't do good work, and it revolves around the society that doesn't get good work done. So leadership is about example. Leadership is walking the talk. Leadership is about emulating what and who you want to be. And leadership is about great communication. And great communication is communicating with honesty, authenticity, integrity, and love at all times, even if it's painful.
This is a major undertaking. I'm sure that you probably have a lot of support and sponsors. Can you talk to us a little bit about your sponsors and, you know, some of the people who are supporting this initiative that you have?
So Trudy, you want to get into that?
Yes. I need to take the paper because I want to make sure we get everybody.
But I want you to know we don't get a lot of people. We make sure that it is companies that we believe are driving this. And just to let you know, nearly all of these companies have been with us now for 5-6 years, and we don't really add on sponsors unless it's a company that we've been working with and we see their energy and effort towards doing this, because there's no reason for your logo to be on something if you're walking a different path.
Okay.
Yeah. So gold sponsors, we have the Angeles Press Limited, and like Ms. Dionne has said, they have been with us from before Leadercast. And Night and Day Photography, again, same thing. I mean, Kenneth and Vanessa, they are so awesome. Our silver sponsors are Atlantic Bank, Smart, Best Western, plus Belize Biltmore Plaza, and Belize Productions.
And again, 5-6 years with us, nothing changed. And by the way, we don't have to send them sponsorship requests and all of that. They just say, yeah, we're still in. I just sent one email in October. I said, I'm just checking to see if you guys are on board. And they're like, yeah, we're there. And sometimes I want to raise myself up. And sometimes, you know, they say, you know, things aren't going as expected. And so we go down. And now we're good with that. Because we just want to know that we have support.
Yes. As a gold sponsor, new along with us is actually Madisco, and so again, working with us on other activities, they decided that they definitely want to be branded,
for 5 years.
Branded gold. And so they have joined us as one of our newest sponsors, and we're happy to have them on board with us. And our brand sponsors, we have Digi, Avant-Garde, Caribbean Treasures, the Belize City Council, and note that Belize City Council, we have had changes in City Council as it comes down to the political leadership, but they have still
supported it.
Yes. The Belize Electricity Limited, one of our newer sponsors, Prestige Productions, and Tropical Vision. And
yeah, they air our ads for free, but they don't want anybody to know that because they don't air things for free for anybody. So we're hoping to get you guys on board as well, right, to help us, because the reality is that a lot of people seem to think it's a big money-making venture, but it's not. Every attendee that comes gets a polo shirt so that we're all dressed alike. We get gifts, we get prizes, we get activity packages. You get your 3 meals actually, because snack.
Breakfast, lunch, and evening.
Our biggest complaint last year was that we overfed people.
Miss D, I also wanted to mention that for every paid person in the room, there is a free person that is there as a scholarship recipient. And so for persons that are interested, they can send an email to Leadercast.
Fully confidential, by the way.
Yes, nobody knows, because you are there in the shirt, you're there with your package, you're there in the crowd. Like I said, when I got to go, I was like, you know, so excited because I'm sitting around with everybody else. So the email address that you can send your letter to is leadercastbelize@gmail.com. And so you just say, why is it that you are supposed to be present, why you want to be there, what is it that you want to learn. We have had students that have been present. How long should it be?
Brief, just to get across your information.
Yeah, it's like, you know, 3 paragraphs is perfectly fine. Yeah. We have had students, you know, from high schools that have been there. They're 3rd form, 4th formers. They're not sure where it is that they want to go. And imagine you are there with the CEO of different companies, you know, people that are growing in the organization, and you're sitting there like, so amazing, right?
What impressed me last year was we had a couple fruit vendors from the side of this road, and they gave up a day of sales, and that is hard for that caliber of person to give up the entire day to be there. And I didn't know who they were, because I don't need to know who they were, but they came up and introduced themselves and said, do you remember me? And you know, and that sort of thing. And so basically it is an impressive thing that you see people there, and we have teachers calling up, my student has to be there. And what makes me excited this year is that we have 20 police officers who will be attending. I don't know if they're male, female, but
both.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, yes. But I'm just saying that, you know, I'm very impressed that that we do have, you know, that leadership is something that many of us are looking forward to, and the exposure as well.
One of the practical things that I like about it is not just abstract talk. You guys have a round table afterwards.
Yes.
Where you guys actually discuss how does that work, and how was it last year?
Well, typically. There would be somebody within the group that would ask that they would want to lead it. Last year, it was Jamona Panambalam from Hummingbird, along with Julie Bradley. And what they wanted to discuss was leadership, but pushing the male agenda forward. They felt that females are getting a lot of attention. UNICEF, they do things for girls, UNDP, all of the agencies out there are doing things for girls. And so there's a lot of support for women. There's Haven House, there's a lot of things, right? But for the male, there are a lot of males being abused in relationships in workplaces, in their environments, and the reality is that there is no support for them. Where do they go? In life, we tell them, man up, fess up, be a man, stop it, no cry, you're not allowed to cry. Even statistically, from Dr. Gale's report, he says that we don't breastfeed our men as long. There are so many things that show us, and it also may point out to the reason why our prison population may be so high. So at the very end of it, these women saw the need to highlight, and they wanted to discuss what would we do going forward in terms of driving the male agenda. And Dr. Gale came down again a couple months ago, and that was a part of a follow-up to that session. And also Julie Bradley is working on an organization for support, and we are trying for sponsorship this year. We have, I don't know if you know Etan Thomas. He is a NBA player.
Oh, yes.
And he came a couple years ago, and Etan wants to come back again, and I'm trying to get him in October. I just need to get a school day because he wants to talk to the children. But his focus is on fatherhood. What we understand is that, and fatherhood, by the way, even single mothers are fathers. So the reality is that we want to ensure that we do the right thing by our children, because it starts there. If I am nurtured as a child, I have a better chance of success, because finances don't make me successful. Impressive school doesn't make me successful. It's really having people let you know that they care is what makes you be successful. And I found that out from myself. There were many times as a child and during my life that I was destined down different paths, and it was always because somebody stepped in and said that they care. I will launch my 4th book at this event, because every year I launch a book and we give it out to the attendees as well. So every attendee also gets one of my books, but that book will it's actually an expose of how I worked on myself as well to get to the point that I am
Did
at.
you say it was free? Did you say it was complimentary?
It's complimentary for every attendee that comes. That's a part of your package. So like these are the different things that occur at the event. So every year we give out a new book, and that every attendee gets one.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, I was reading another book. I was saying that the difference between a leader and everyone else is probably just the 20% more or different that they do. An event like this, you would consider it to be life-changing.
Yes, it is.
What does it entail for me to get there? What do I have to do? Can you give me an idea of probably the costing and that kind of thing? Is it something that I can invest in to get a better me?
The first thing I want you to do is to love yourself. Because if you love you, you'll be willing to invest in you. Because remember, investment means I put in and I'll get back out.
Absolutely.
This is not a donation. This is not a throwaway. This is an investment. And you will reap the rewards of your investment. So what you put in, you're going to get out at the end of the day. So but not to come there and walk out every 5 seconds answering your phone and your WhatsApp and your text and your call and everybody who's coming. Yes. Decide that today is my day, and I will give to me, and I will disregard everything, and I will absorb and take it in for me. And that is important. So that is the first point that you have. The finances is nothing compared to the fact that you have to invest.
I also wanted to mention that we have persons that take a vacation day
in
order for them to be there. And there are persons, like I said, that pay their way to be there. And so our scholarship recipients, they then need to get permission if it is that they're working for them to take the day off and the like. So again, it is investing in you.
Yeah, tickets are usually $3.95, but because of OIE, if you call in and say that you saw us on OIE up until Friday at 3 p.m., we will be giving tickets at $2.95, $100 saving.
Wow.
So, but only if you saw it on OIE. So if you just call in and say, I want a ticket, then no, it's an OIE ticket. So basically tell your friends, tell everybody that it's an OIE ticket, and we do have a cap this year of a number of tickets.
Yes.
And just to let you know, we only have 50 remaining.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's until the 10th of May.
Because again, we want to make sure that, like I said, people want more space. They want to be able to move around, and we'd love to fill the room. But then at the end of the day, we want to make sure that our return persons, 4 years attending, that they know that we do listen to them.
But not only that, but Leadercast also informed us that the activity this year requires space. Every year, they tell us what the activity is. One year we had to dance to the tune of something. One year we had to do an African Zulu kind of thing. Last year was a basketball.
Throwing balls.
But this year they said just make sure that we have space. And to be honest with you, Biltmore has been our long-term sponsor for the past 4 years, but the spacing is an issue. We we need to make people come. You're there all day, and let me tell you, you're so engaged you don't even use the bathroom.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the breaks are few. Yeah.
So give us logistics. What's the cutoff time for registration, if there's a registration cutoff? What day will it be? From what time to what time? Give us the nuts and bolts.
It's May 10th, which is Friday, and we'll also be doing some giveaways for mothers because, of course, it is Mother's Day. And so it's May 10th. It's at the Best Western Belize Biltmore Plaza. We start registration like from 7 o'clock. People that come from out district are always very, very early. So from 7, people also use that time for them to, chit chat with the persons. And we start streaming live at 8 in the morning, and it goes until like around 3:30 in the afternoon, but the day goes by so fast. Oh, your lunch is of course buffet style, and so you get
snacks all day long.
You get practically an hour lunch. Same thing, you're going to be networking with persons, but like I said, you start the day, and by the time you turn around, we literally have to be telling people, okay folks, it's all done, it's time.
And our youngest attendee has been 12 years old, a standard 5 student. The parent felt that they needed some leadership guidance, and the child loved it and enjoyed, and by the way came back and became a volunteer. And the oldest has been, I think, 82 years old. So it's not an age issue.
Belize has really never seen anything like this. I can see why it's so well attended. You said it's the largest in the
Caribbean,
in the region.
Yeah, in the Caribbean, but it's in over 120 countries worldwide. So and by the way, we also get to see what other countries are doing,
and they get to see us. So when we show on the screen, it's like, go Belize.
So around the world, we're seeing each other, and what you're writing in, what you're sending in, and
real time.
And by the way, for those people who are members of the SHRM, you get credits for this as well.
Wow.
Yes.
Let me give you the opportunity, since we're running out of time, to give your final pitch, Dionne.
Like I said, if you believe in you and you believe that you're worth it and it's time to start your leadership, if not you, who? If not now, when? Sign up. Call Trudy. Text her, email her, whether it's a scholarship you need, whether you're able to come. Remember, if you come, somebody else gets to come on a scholarship with you. Because we do have additional people that we have to support. So at the very end of it, you are giving not only to yourself but to others, and it's an investment in you. But the really amazing thing is the way you feel when you walk out that door. However, we really ask for your sustained action following until the next year.
What a powerful way to end. Chamberlain Consulting Limited, delivering quality as usual. Ladies, that's all the time we have for this time. We hope that the leadership seed is planted and blossoms and takes over like the lionfish. That's all the time we have. We're going to take a break now, and when we come back, it's just to wrap up. So please stay tuned.